Could Solana suffer the same fate as Terra Luna? In this video, we're going to dive down into several things that I think retail investors must know. As I get into it, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Now, if you have not yet joined us in Discord, links in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, so why not go ahead and check it out? And if you are looking for more from the crypto space, we have the Patreon services as well. Check those out, linked in the description below. Okay, let's get right on into this, right? So obviously we have the chart, we have my low kind of targets here. Now, to answer the question, no, I don't think it's going to go to zero. It does take a lot to kind of, do that. I don't think that is the case, but there are some issues that we definitely should be aware of. And I think it's important that we reflect on that. Okay, so I think we are quite famous for, selling out of a few projects early, and we have an interesting strategy here at Cheeky Crypto, right? We want to get in and we want to get out, right? And we don't want to be holding it during these kind of downward times. I actually left out Solana at 185, and Chris a little after that when it was actually a little bit lower. But essentially, we didn't want to be holding it too long. It went up higher than $185. That's fine. I was okay with that. I was happy with the gains, all that kind of stuff. And it's important that we have a good strategy before you get into these things, right? And Solana itself has a lot of issues. And I'm not talking about issues that we do not plague other blockchains. These are common related issues, which is why I don't necessarily think this is a huge problem. But it is something that we should be aware of if we're going to be investing in it, right? We're thinking about the next big run to the upside. Is Solana going to be on that list of purchasing? For me, it is not, and I'm going to show you why I don't think this is something that I want to be investing in for the next surge to the upside. I still think it will do well, it'll still perform, but I don't think it's one that I want exposure to because the risks are quite high. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what's going on here, right? So as we can see, we have this zigzag pattern here coming on down. We basically have a 5-3-5 structure, the fifth wave coming on down into this low range. I reckon $28 is pretty much where we're anticipating that low being, but it could go a little bit lower than that, or it could be as high as 33. 33 should be the minimum though, so we should be looking at going down. Okay, so that's kind of the technicals. I'm not really going to go through that too much in this video, but I am going to talk about some stuff that has been going on with this, right? So obviously, yesterday there was another outage, and this is new chains, when they launch, they're going to have problems, right? It's how you deal with those problems that really matters. So they jokingly kind of titled this, reliably unreliable, and it's entirely up to you. I don't want to hate on Solana too much. I think you've rushed a product or a product to market. And, there's going to be problems with that because you haven't taken the time to thoroughly test these things. That being said, you can now, about them, you can fix them. But there are some issues with this, and I don't forget, we have a long memory and all that kind of stuff. It's important that we understand how many outages there have been and whether these are consistently reoccurring issues, right? So the Solana price dives after the latest outright. This is a headline. It's going to get clicks, right? But essentially, Solana has suffered its fifth outage in 2022. That's one a month, right? So, all the way through January through to the end of May, once a month, there's been an outage. Now that's pretty big, right? That's not normal, and it's definitely not something that we should be comfortable with, and we don't want to normalize against that kind of that kind of issue. We don't want to see constant failures all the time. That would be a bad idea, right? So we should be very much aware of this. Now, a bug related to consensus failure was the culprit this time, okay? And again, there's different scenarios, different issues, and all that kind of stuff. It just means it hasn't been thoroughly tested under various different scenarios, and you end up with these issues that keep cropping up. That being said, the Solana network has not had a good year, in the having suffered full or partial outages in at least 7 separate times over the last 12 months. Okay, so a little under one a month in that regard. It's almost 0.6 something maybe per month of an outage, right? So if we think about that and the breakdown of that, it's not great, right? In the last 12 months, you've been offline for 7 times, right? So not brilliant, but we're aware of this. There's been issues with the chain and all that kind of stuff, right? Now, a bug has knocked the Solana blockchain offline again, as block production was halted at 16:55 on Wednesday. That's UTC. Now, the latest outage lasted for around 4.5 hours as the validator operators managed to restart the mainnet at about 2100 hours UTC last night. And again, you have a bit of a tweet here as well. Now, we obviously have the 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗠𝗠𝗪𝗠 instruction caused part of the network to consider the block as invalid. No consensus would be formed. So basically, durable transaction nonce refers to a mechanism and addressing the typical short lifetime of a transaction block hash according to the official Solana documentation, right? A failure, or sorry, I should say a bug in the feature caused nodes to generate different outputs, resulting in consensus failure. So obviously you definitely don't want that, right? You don't want different nodes coming up with different answers. That was not the idea. And obviously you failed to have consensus because you do not match up. Which basically that led to the downtime. Okay, so it's another bug. The network was restarted with this feature disabled. Okay, so that the so that the fix there is to just turn it off. Okay, and added that the fixes for the bug will be out ASAP. So they turned the feature off because you can't fix it without the bug. So okay, so it's not exactly fixed. They've got to fix it. They've just turned that part of the chain off, which is interesting to say the least. Naturally, there was a fair amount of backlash from the community with comments like this: "Get it together, Solana. We should be past this already. I'm a big believer, but I'm even doubting it at this point." And obviously, you have Ran as well, breaking Solana. I like that. It's funny. But you know, I'm not going to go through anymore. Essentially, you get the idea. It's another outage of this. Now, that is one of the issues that I have with Solana. Now, it has obviously been having a lot of technical issues, and yes, ultimately it just means that it hasn't been thoroughly tested before you've launched the product, and that is actually relatively easy to fix. Spend some time testing everything and put it under stress, put it under load, and get it working and make sure you find all the bugs. These are the things that should have been done before you actually rushed the product to market. However, you have to understand, if you're running a project and you're in a bull cycle and everything's bullish, you're going to want to get that product out ASAP so that you can capitalize on it, right? And that's essentially what I see has happened here. You've rushed it to market, and you kind of got huge rallies and all of that kind of stuff. Now, where does that pressure come from? Well, that pressure might not be from the tech guys. So hats off to all of the developers on Solana and the node operators. Hats off to those guys. They're doing a fantastic job, the best they can with what they've got available, right? So where does the pressure come from when it comes to trying to rush a product to market? Well, it comes usually from the backing, right? The VC backing, of any project. You can look at any industry. It's going to be the same, right? Whoever's paying for the damn thing, they're going to want to make sure that they get a return on that investment within the allotted time that they see as viable, right? And in the case of Solana, that has a lot of sizable backing from some VCs, right? And, one of the biggest sticking points for me with the whole entire ecosystem is I'm not willing to really put my money back into it until these guys are out of it. Okay, and they might be out of it now. I don't know. I haven't been following it. I said I was out of Solana at 185. I'm probably not going to go back into Solana until we actually see something decent from it. But I'm going to play this for anyone who's unfamiliar. Just if you're new to the space and you're not familiar with VC, it's basically venture capitalists. So basically they are billionaires who fund startup companies, right? Usually typically in the fintech industry. But I'm going to play this little clip here. It's only about a minute long, and you'll get an idea as to why I am not exactly wanting to hold Solana for a long time.
Here, 𝗕𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗪𝗀, and I'm your boy JCal.
Sachs, I gotta say, I think your AUM is positively correlated with the bags under your eyes.
If you mean it's getting bigger, you're correct.
I mean,
Yeah, they're heavy.
good lord.
And here you go. This is where we get into the good stuff.
They're heavy, dragging you down.
That's where you're hiding all that Solana, in your fucking under your eyes. Jesus.
You better clear that Solana position. What's your lockup? 24 months?
Fuck no, he's trying to sell it to me on text message.
Yeah, of course he is.
We're negotiating discounts.
I just had the founder on
Hey,
the
you're
pod.
fucking the whole thing up.
Bro, you don't think
Ponzi
to,
scheme?
I'm hodling. I'm hodling.
you think I buy
You're not
hundreds of
holding,
millions
you're
of dollars
clearing.
of anything without a discount? Everything is a discount.
Everything's discounted. You want to clear that position in an LLC?
Are you saying I got $1 billion of Solana?
No, bro, I'm saying I have
Ooh.
one, but I brought it at a discount.
But you're holding, correct?
Ish.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, me too.
Well, I mean, if
So there you go, right? So basically, you've got a group of billionaires joking around about, trying to dump their Solana positions. They don't. So one of the things we have to understand, right, is these VCs, they don't care so much about what it is that they're holding. They only care about their return. And basically, they've invested into these startup companies, and they want to basically see an ROI on their investment ASAP. Now, when it comes to cryptocurrencies, what they tend to do is they tend to buy, let's say, Solana here for 1 cent per coin, and then they get locked up for 24 months, let's say. And of course, as there's a significant amount of supply that is locked up, and there's a limited amount of supply out there in the industry, all you need to do is then actually go to your friends who maybe run some really big cryptocurrency YouTube channels or Twitter accounts and really start hyping up Solana, get some FOMO going in there, talking about how it's the next big thing. Before you know it, a little bit of demand has really significantly spiked the price. That then compounds down into a much bigger demand coming in, dragging that price up significantly harder. All in the background, though, are the billionaires rubbing their hands together, trading the Solana between themselves, trying to get better discounts and looking to dump their positions. I tell you this now because I cannot guarantee that they're out of their positions. This is definitely a significant drop in value, and they might just be holding and waiting up for the next bull run, next bull cycle, or the next surge to the upside. What I do want to tell you, though, is anyone who's new to the space should be very, very cautious over Solana. Not only is there tech-related issues running on the actual foundation of the code that's causing issues, that the validators and the node operators are having to deal with, and obviously hats off to those guys doing the best that they can with the tools that they've got available to them. But until these billionaires are out and all those issues are resolved, this is a high-risk area, in my opinion. And instead, I think new investors, new institutional money isn't going to be looking at Solana in that same light. Instead, I think they are going to be taking a look at things that are going on with Cardano. Okay, so we obviously have the scalability and all that kind of stuff that's going to be happening at the end of June. And I do see more and more institutional money flowing towards, Cardano. It's actually leaving Ethereum at this point as well, and is heading more into the ADA. That is where the value is going to be, and that is the next ecosystem that is going to pop to the upside. Now, the thing with the Cardano ecosystem that many people don't seem to like is it's taking a long time to get that product to market. But we can come back to all of the history of everything else that goes on when you rush a product to market. There isn't really any VC backing, at least that I could find, for Cardano of any significance that could be trying to pressure a push of the Cardano ecosystem further forward. And therefore, you can take your time, you can test everything, you can thoroughly make sure that it's going to work as intended before you launch. And I think that is going to really have a big appeal towards the institutional investors. And obviously, there's a lot more projects looking to build on the Cardano ecosystem in the same way that we saw with Solana. And I do think that essentially Cardano is going to start to take up a pretty sizable chunk of the DeFi market. Now, what I'm not saying here, guys, is that Cardano is going to, outperform Solana or anything like that. I think that's not necessarily the right way of looking at it. I do think that Solana has some foundational issues, specifically with the outages and stuff like that need to be resolved, and they need to be resolved faster. And I say the same thing about Ethereum. They've had plenty of time to introduce 2.0 and all of these things, and they just haven't really focused on adapting and changing with the times fast enough. And I think that these issues that Solana have they're not huge problems that can't be fixed. They just need to actually, pull it out of the bag, and they need to get it done. And they need to be really thorough about it. And they don't want to just keep plastering on top and saying that it's fixed when maybe it isn't, and it has a knock-on effect somewhere down the line. You need to have a good thorough testing, and it needs to be implemented in a really good way so that we can prevent these outages happening again. Once those outages are completely fixed and we don't see any more, then essentially all you're really waiting for then is the VC backing to leave, and then you've got a kind of thriving ecosystem that can eventually be around long term. But until these things are resolved, I do say Solana is a little bit more on the higher risk side of things, and I think newer investors are going to be leaning towards Cardano. And I think a lot of the influencers who were pushing Solana will flip on it and will also start talking more positively about Cardano, even if they were talking negatively about Cardano for 2021, which seemed to be a pretty common theme with most kind of large channels, with the exception of the odd one here and there. We're really kind of hating on ADA, but we're really pro and bigging up Solana. Again, you can look into whether or not they had big positions in Solana and why they were pushing certain projects. And for us on this channel, you know, we're very transparent. Join us in our Discord. We can tell you exactly what we hold. You know, the percentages in our Patreon as well. We go through all of that kind of stuff, so you guys know what it is we hold, when we sell, when we buy, what we're doing, and all of that stuff. And you know, we are not in this space to be dumping and shilling on the community. We are specifically here to help educate the community in how to generate, you know, generational level wealth and all of that kind of good stuff. But guys, if you found this useful, informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. You know, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, join us in Discord. It would be fantastic to pick up a conversation down there as well. Guys, with all that said, done and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.